What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. And this time we're taking a look at Silent Night, the 2012 reboot of the infamous 80s Christmas horror Silent Night, Deadly Night. All right, I'm going to waste no time. Let's get right into this review. So, I was never really a fan of Silent Night, Deadly Night. I know little to nothing about those movies. That's just a franchise I just did not want to dedicate any time to because I just had no interest in it. So, pretty much, I went into this movie with just a bare bones knowledge of what it's based on. And after watching this movie just on its own merits, I can honestly say that I enjoyed this movie. I thought Silent Night, Deadly Night was a very well done, very well put together, basic and simple slasher movie that wears its 1980s heart on its sleeve. Silent Night is a beautiful throwback to old school 80s horror where it's not about, these overcomplicated plots or or trying to deliver a message or trying to do psychological breakdowns. It's just a simple whodunit about a bunch of cops trying to find out who's terrorizing their little town under the guise of a Santa Claus outfit. That's basically what this movie's all about. And for what it's worth, I enjoyed it. Now, is Silent Night, Deadly Night a perfect movie? No, sorry. Is Silent Night a perfect movie? No, I do have a lot of problems with this movie, particularly in certain aspects of the acting, and in certain aspects of just how certain characters are written. But for the most part, this movie's enjoyable. Now, I like the overall idea of this movie. I like how it's a whodunit. I like the cast in this movie. For a low budget horror movie, you got some pretty decent actors in it. You got Malcolm McDowell, you got Jamie King, you got Donald Logue. And I thought all these guys played their roles really, really well. Malcolm McDowell plays the sheriff of this small town, and I liked McDowell in this movie. I thought he was really funny as this sheriff who pretty much acts like a macho tough guy. Like McDowell's character is pretty much like a caricature of the tough cop who wants to bring down the evil that comes to his town. But by contrast, you have his deputy, played by Jamie King, who is the more grounded and level-headed character. And I enjoyed both their performances for different reasons. Malcolm McDowell I got a lot of fun out of, and Jamie King, I thought, in most parts, put in a very solid performance. And I thought she was really good as a lead. She comes across as very, very likable. And Donald Logue, he plays one of the red herrings, who could be the Santa Claus killer. But his character is more that of a cynical Santa who just bashes everything Christmas, and he's freaking hysterical. So I got no complaints with that whatsoever. So yeah, the three main names in this movie, I thought played their roles really, really well. The supporting cast, I thought they were fine as well too. Ellen Wong plays a receptionist at the police office at the police station. No, she was fine. Nothing really to write home about. She was okay. Another actor named Brendan Fear, who's in this movie, his role's kind of sort of important because his death pretty much catapults the entire plot into motion. So he didn't really have no screen time, so you can't really judge his acting, but he's just there as a stunt cast pretty much. He was in CSI Miami at the time. So just having him in this movie, I guess, gives the movie credibility. I don't know. I never watched CSI Miami. I never heard of this guy, so I can't really tell you. His scene is just to get the ball rolling. That's all it is. But it's a very entertaining scene. The opening moments of this movie is great. Santa has a girl pretty much dead in the bed, and he has the deputy Jordan strapped to a chair, and he kills him by explosive Christmas tree lights. Awesome. And that ain't the only good deaths in this movie. This movie is chock full of very good deaths. With by far the best one being the wood chipper scene. Watch this movie and get to the wood chipper scene. You will not be disappointed. It is gory as fuck, and it is awesome. And you also have some other good scenes as well. You have a scene of a girl get mounted on a bunch of antlers. You have Santa pretty much using his axe to cut a guy's face into two pieces, which is a lot of fun. Then you get to this whole climax where he uses a blowtorch to kill a few people. And then he just beats the holy hell out of a guy with a pair of brass knucks, which was just brutal and vicious. And not as over the top. And, not as over the top. It just felt more real. Being punched to death with brass knucks is never going to be a fun thing. But Santa does that in this movie. So in terms of making Santa into a legitimate threat, I got to give the director, Stephen C. Miller, a lot of credit. He did a very good job at making this Santa come across as just flat out vicious, to the point where he even kills a child. Killing off a child pretty much said that this movie is not going to play by the rules. It's going to do something. It's going to break the rules. And I appreciated that, because it gave off the sense of no one's going to be safe. Especially when you get to a scene later on in the movie where Santa's confronted by a child who he deems as being nice and leaves her to be. I like all this. I actually like how this movie actually played on the whole concept of naughty and nice. Like, the people who are naughty, Santa offs them in very vicious ways. But the people who are nice, he will leave them alone. There's this one scene where he gives an old lady in a church a bunch of money, and pretty much saying, "I'll leave you be," after he kills a priest. By the way, the priest character in this movie, I did not care for it whatsoever. I thought it was kind of dumb. The priest character is basically comes across as a raping son of a bitch, because he tries to get into the female cop's pants. And then when the priest gets off, I was not so sad about it. Actually, yeah. Let me get into my my negatives. The priest character, didn't really care for. I thought it was shoehorned in. There's this other character who steals money from his grandfather, and the grandfather says, "Beware of Christmas Eve, the worst time of the year." This character was completely unnecessary. He's just there to fuck the mayor's daughter and then get killed near the end of the movie. They serve absolutely no purpose, to be honest with you. Maybe the mayor's daughter you can kind of get away with, but she doesn't last long. She gets off. These are superfluous characters. And Jamie King. There were certain scenes where I thought her acting was very on point, and then there were certain scenes, particularly the scene where she discovers her father dead, where I thought the scene could have been played a little bit more subtly, but she kind of goes a little too over the top, and it comes across as being unintentionally funny, to me at least. I think certain dramatic moments in this movie should have been downplayed just a little bit, but I do appreciate the dark humor that Miller brings to this movie, and and I do like how everything gets pretty much tied up at the end of the movie, and I do like how Deputy Bradford's father ties into the origin of this killer Santa Claus. So basically what happened, years prior to the event of this movie, there was a massacre that went down where this guy went nuts and blowtorched and killed a bunch of people. And the lady cop's father was the officer who shot and killed the guy who was blowtorching everyone. In so doing so, his little son witnessed his death. And it's actually revealed at the end of the movie that the son was the killer Santa getting revenge on the people who he felt were responsible for his father's death. So it's basically a revenge story, but I liked it. The twist didn't bother me. It made sense for what this movie story was trying to tell. So, acting and story wise, I enjoyed it for the most part. The overall production value and direction. This is a very good looking movie for a low budget movie. Stephen C. Miller, he brought his A game. Like, this movie, for the most part, is well directed. It does have a lot of shaky cam, and I'm not a big fan of that, especially when you get to the climax of the movie where it can get really distracting. Not a big fan of shaky cam, but there are other scenes I thought were really well done. It does have a good Christmas-like atmosphere. I like how the town is pretty much decked up in Christmas garbs and lights and stuff like that. And we have these multiple people dressed up as Santa Claus to pretty much give off the any one of these people can be the killer Santa. So I enjoyed all. So yeah, I give this movie a lot of credit for trying. And that's what I like about Silent Night, is that it tried. It tries to be a throwback to the old 80s slasher movies, and I think it exceeds in a lot of areas. It's got a good atmosphere to it. It's got a good horror slasher vibe to it. It mixes in the most wonderful time of the year with blood and destruction, and it works for me, and I enjoy it. And that's why Silent Night for me gets a solid a solid 8 out of 10. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is very, very solid. It's a quick watch. It never gets boring. It keeps your attention. And to me, it's satisfying. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Silent Night. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe. And I'll check you back next time for more.